Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. If you're new to this channel, Wixo is basically where a nation starts off like in some place, and eventually they conquer, fall apart, and the world becomes filled with new nations, all that jazz. That's just a slight introduction to Wixo, but before we get into that, please consider liking and subscribing as it means a lot. And yeah, let's start the video. And now over here, we're actually going to start to see the first tribal people start to have the idea of civilization. And so they're going to start to form the first of four cities, towns, and eventually settlements. As this tribe will eventually just start to stay stationary and build the first permanent houses, as they will not really send much explorers after probably 4,000 years of farming. The first civilization will actually start to pop up here. And of course, this would probably be an aristocracy, and so they're going to kind of start to form all around this lake. And they kind of have the idea of just becoming the world government. But eventually, we're going to go down here, and a protest is actually going to start to occur. Farmers will refuse to collect taxes, and over here, it will be known as the Beer Rebellion, as since they grow wheat, a large portion of it is turned into beer, and so they were actually going to tax the people who make the beer because they're wasting a lot of food on just drink and alcohol. So these people, they are going to just expand, as many of the farmers are actually going to go to the gates of the capital city and take it, while the aristocrats are going to survive on these two islands until they will actually get people to rebel in the capital. And this will kind of start to be the end for the Beer Rebellion, as even their original portions will start to fall, and after that, they're going to be left over here. And so a few hundred people, they're going to start to run away all across the mountains. Eventually, they're going to find an area a lot more fertile than the lake. And eventually, they're going to find the Caspian Sea. They're going to head south where it's getting more fertile. And we're going to see them discover this entire region, where eventually about here, we're going to finally see them decide to settle down and to form, I guess, an empire. Over here, 84 people will make it back, or will make it to the new area where they're going to form civilization. And this is going to be a farming settlement, but they have great aspirations of one day coming back to the homeland and getting rid of the aristocrats. As over here, we're going to see them basically take this region, and finally, we're going to see them actually fracture into tons of little states. As over here, the four aristocrats will not be able to agree after they try to elect one of them to be the leader of their nation. Since they cannot agree, we're actually going to see them each split off and form their own nation, with the main aristocrat kind of still being over here and having their, big cities. Yeah, they don't have too much food, and so a large portion of their population is going to start to starve. But don't worry, they will maybe eventually reunify, I don't know. With the food shortage all around the civilized world, we're going to see a large portion from all these nations start to go out on a voyage. Or not a voyage, I guess an exploration. And they're going to find another lake. But they want to avoid the problems found with the aristocracy and let one man rule. And so they will explore this entire lake. Right here, we're going to see a nation form. As over here, the blue dictatorship will form. As they're actually not the harshest dictatorship, as they're also going to encapsulate both of these lakes, and even start to link up with the river, where the majority of their population will actually start to reside. As these areas are actually going to get pretty abandoned, and so non-coastal areas, they basically have no one. Going back to Tehran, many tribal people will actually finally start to learn about agriculture from them. And so they're going to continue to be able to explore with their large population boost, as this area had tons of tribes people. And so much of the southern Caspian is going to start to be explored by Tehran, as these people will actually tell them all about the terrain of the area, and the empires, or the nation, is probably about to go on an expansion spree. As over here, Tehran will expand massively, as they actually decide they want to re-find their homeland and conquer it to bring good to the world. And so they're going to go on an expedition this way, because they know it's this way, but this area is probably forgotten by now, I would say. They probably know that they went this way somewhat, and they probably know they came up from here, but they don't remember the path they took. For all they know, there could be a lake right here. And so, going back over here, we're going to see them come over on this side and eventually reach the Mint team. And they're going to learn about the collapse that was brought up upon their land, and they realize this is way too far at their current technology. So they will let their aspirations kind of go away for the next few hundred years. But they decide they want to conquer all of Persia. Over here, the four, I guess, probably aristocracies will continue to do exploration along here, discovering this river, as they want to be able to prepare themselves for Persia if they eventually do come back with a military force. So after exploring this region, they're going to discover more and start to trade with Persia a lot. As much as this northern region, kind of getting close to Azerbaijan, will start to be discovered. As eventually, this is what will start to be known about across the known world. As they're mainly adapted to survive the mountainous environments, while this dictatorship, they're kind of following the river this way. As yeah, this is what they know about. So let's look at all the nations that will start to form all across, I guess, Iran or the Zazuran Mountains. Well, these will be the nations kind of established after the big exploration. As this nation, I need to kind of get familiar with these two lakes. This nation will start to expand out west, kind of like the US, getting this lake and starting to follow this river. While this area really hasn't been settled, or even outposts, really. Maybe an outpost on this lake with probably like 10 people. But over here, we're going to see the cyan and pink team form, so will this olive nation. As all these nations will start to expand, while this nation's going to start to get outcompeted. As the original nation, let me find this lake on Google Maps. While the original Lake Urmia nation, will start to expand this way and even finally come in contact with the cognate of Iran as the original settlers here. The race, I guess, well, the ethnicity of this area has been completely eradicated, basically, as interbreeding and all that kind of leads to the tribalness, or the tribal culture and ethnicity of the people of this original area will take charge, but they still do have the goal of taking back the homeland. As over here, a vassal state will be established, as these two are now starting to come into common clashes, as, like, one day, we may see, wrongs thing. One day, this area could start to be captured, and then, skirmishes will kind of start to continue all across here, as both nations will try to, get the upper hand, but since this is very mountainous terrain, none will be able to do so. And for the last two events of this episode, we're actually going to see continued exploration all across the known world, as this nation is going to continue to follow the rivers, all just trying to get more area to kind of settle, as they're going to kind of find this, I guess, kind of plateauish area in the northern regions of Mesopotamia, which could be a great place for people to settle. Over here, the southern Urmian nation will also go down south, hoping to find land just as good as Mesopotamia, which they're going to come up with basically no luck. And this makes a lot of people kind of sad in the nation because they wasted so many of their resources just for nothing to happen. In the north here, we're going to continue to see them discovering these green fertile areas, and even this lake over here, as they discover that this is kind of a place where two rivers intersect. which would be a great place for farming. While we're actually also going to go over to Tehran for a bit, as they're going to continue just to explore all around the Caspian, as they have really great boats, because this is the only place that can really use boats efficiently. Like, I'm sure, crossing this, because they kind of control this area, is happening a lot. They're going to discover this area, continuing to go up north across the Caspian, while the people who explore down south are going to tell them of promising lands, which can maybe even eventually be farmed on. As, let's look at all the nations that will start to form. And over here now, we finally have all the nations after the great explorations finally established. We see across the dictatorship of Bengalu, and even expanding into northern Syria, we will see them get two vassal states as the Expansionist area. They are probably the hegemon of an area kind of looking something along the lines of this. They are the hegemon of this area. The undisputed rulers, as some people even start to say, may even expand into this region. But it is greatly debated, because another of the rising empires of the original nation will start to expand all across here, starting to even question the dominance of the dictatorship, as both of these are starting to compete for influence in areas such as the Pink Team and the Cyan Team, as both want to get an upper hand upon one another. While down here, these nations are completely outcompeted and are just fawns to both of the empires. As going up here into, Tehran, they have become greatly more powerful after the conquest, getting all the fertile land in the lower Caspian. As a subgroup of the Azerbaijani people will also break away. They will start to now refocus their ambitions on conquering the great nation in the homeland, in hopes of conquering the entire world into Iran, or I guess we'll just call them Tehran. And thank you guys for watching.